Christiana, why do you think your visa was rejected?
From the question she asked me, I think my visa was rejected because I couldn't really relate my program with my educational background and then my profession. And I think I wasn't confident in the answers because I actually forgot that the course I'm going to study is solely business related. And I told her partially, I forgot I had chosen an elective, which is business related course. So I think that is why my visa was rejected.
Okay. Now, did you mention your work experience in your DS-160?
Yes, I did.
So what was the period that you mentioned in your DS-160? How many years of work experience did you mention there?
Yeah, so I think so the thing is that I started working there in September 2020. But then I got the supervisory role in March 2023. So I think I didn't also explain that scenario to her too.
So in your DS-160, you mentioned that you have been working from 2020 onwards, right? September.
Yes, yes.
So the visa officer, when was your interview date? When was your first interview date?
24th January 2024.
Okay. So the visa officer, you said 1 year, but in your DS-160, it is mentioned basically you almost have 4 years or 3 years work experience, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you have written something and when you say something different, which doesn't match, the visa officer doubts your statement, whether you're genuine or not. Okay.
I get it. Yes.
So you have written in your DS-160 that you have been working from 2020 September. So you have more than 3 years of work experience. And when you are saying that how many years of work experience, you mentioned 1 year. Okay. Why is the visa officer asking you to verify whether what you have mentioned and what you are saying is same or is it different or not? If it is different, then the visa officer doubts whether you are a genuine student or not, because most of the time the DS-160 form is filled by somebody else and not by you. So you have no idea basically what is filled in the DS-160. Okay. So when such questions are asked, you have to be very clear what you have mentioned in the DS-160 and accordingly answer it. Am I making sense to you?
Yes.
So if you don't answer it accordingly, then there is a high chance that your visa could be rejected.
Okay.
Clear? So first, whenever you basically go for a visa interview, first go through your DS-160 properly. See what has been written in that DS-160. Prepare your answers accordingly.
Okay.
Okay. So if your DS-160, whatever is mentioned, the visa officer could ask those questions first. Why? Because he doesn't know anything about you. What he knows is what you have mentioned in your DS-160.
Okay.
Okay. So he doesn't take any of your documents. He just asks for your passport, your I-20, and what he can see is your DS-160. So he is going through the DS-160 and is asking questions to you. And when you are answering question, even if it doesn't match with the DS-160, the chance of visa rejection is high.
Sure.
Make sense?
Yes, it really does.
Okay. Now you tell me basically what help you want from this meeting.
So I want you to, for instance, this mistake that you have told me, and then I also want you to verify the answers that I've gathered so far. Like we can have a quick mock interview to see if what I'm saying is right. And then I also have some questions to ask you as well.
So go and ask those questions first.
Okay, so in the DS-160, in the work column, there are categories of work over there, and I want to know if I work as an internal audit supervisor. I want to know if internal audit falls within the category of business, or I should state it as other and indicate the internal audits.
Okay. Now understand one thing, Christiana. You have already filled your DS-160 one time, right?
Yeah.
So the visa officer is able to see that record.
Yes.
And now when you are filling the DS-160, your DS-160 should match what you have filled last time.
Okay.
So you can't write something which you have not mentioned in the first time, then the visa officer is going to ask you why this you are not mentioned in the first time.
Okay.
Okay. So it is not that they are, your old DS-160 and your new DS-160 should be more or less same.
Okay.
Okay. So if it is different, if something you have mentioned wrong, you can correct it, but you will have to justify that in your interview. If the visa officer could ask a question.
Okay.
Okay, so you should mention basically this is yes, last time when I filled my DS-160, I did not basically filled it correctly. I probably misunderstood the question. But since I've got a visa refused, I have been thinking about it, and then this time I have tried to basically mention my duties well. Probably could say that. Okay, but that could be question if your DS-160 old one doesn't match with the DS-160 new one.
Okay.
Am I clear?
Okay. With my duties as well, with the previous one, I really elaborated it, and they weren't really project related. For instance, I say that financial statements review, but then now I think I should relate it to the course that I'm going to study. So I want to do it something like audit project financials. How
Okay.
about that?
So,
With the new
okay.
DS-160 that I'm going to.
You can do that, no problem if there are minor changes. See, what is important is how you speak, how you
Okay.
convince. When the
Okay.
visa officer was asking questions, you were not very convincing. Okay? Understand one
Okay.
thing, that your visa is given to you based on your answers. They should be convincing answers. Based on that, the visa officer will give you visa. So if it's not, DS-160 is important, what you fill in the DS-160, but even more important is how you answer the question. Suppose certain things you have not mentioned in your DS-160, still in your answer you can tell those things. You can mention it in your answers. Because not everything is mentioned in your DS-160. That's why there is an interview.
Okay.
Am I making sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. Have I answered your question?